Mayor Copeland, we can start.
The Springfield City Commission meeting is called to order. Clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Chilton,
Here.
Dr. Estrop,
Here.
Mr. O'Neill,
Here.
Mr. Rue,
Here.
Mr. Copeland.
Here. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Our God, we're grateful for the opportunity to meet and make decisions for the people of Springfield. Help us to do it well and help us work our way through this virus, which just won't go away at this point. And help have our people help each other and hopefully not have too many get sick. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anybody want to approve the minutes?
So moved. Estrop.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Dr. Estrop,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland.
Yes. Clerk will proceed with first readings by title only.
Authorizing participation in the ODOT winter contract for road salt. Authorizing the issuance of a purchase order for the purchase of 2 stainless steel dump bodies, including bed covers and road temperature sensors, from K.E. Rose Company for an amount not to exceed $183,390. Authorizing the city manager to enter into a cropland lease agreement 2021 to 2025 with Joseph Agel to lease 74.466 acres at the Springfield Beckley Municipal Airport, of which 42.933 acres are tillable farmland, and confirming and approving services provided by Joseph Agel from December 1st, 2020 to the passage of this ordinance. Authorizing the city manager to submit the 2021 action plan of the City of Springfield, Ohio to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. Authorizing the city manager, law director, and finance director to enter into grant agreements and to do all things they deem necessary to implement, operate, and administer the city's Community Development Block Grant Program, Emergency Solutions Grant Program, and Home Program for the 2021 fiscal year, April 1, 2021 to March 31, 2022.
Any questions or comments on first readings? Mr. Estrop.
Thank you, Mayor. I was wondering if the staff might give us a little more detail on item 097-21. Tell us what is all included in that submission.
Yes, Commissioner. Okay, Logan, I'll field that one. Thank you. Commissioner, what this is our annual plan of how we are going to spend our CDBG home and ESG allocation that we get from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. We are in the midst of a comment period at the moment, so we will be soliciting public comment through Monday, April 12th on this item. The allocation that we received for 2021 fiscal year is $1,859,013 for CDBG. Our home funds allocation is $518,973. And our ESG allocation is $161,931. And really, this is not a specific program document, but actual kind of a roadmap of how we're going to spend the money for the upcoming year. Some of the things that highlights that I'll put in there and talk about are we do fund demolitions out of that in target areas. We are trying to maximize our public service funding. It focuses on our engaged neighborhoods, and it focuses on some of our emergency assistance right now. And in addition to that, it does focus on some of our homeless problems in the community.
Great. Thank you very much.
This question is for Ms. Logan. Is this on the city's website?
This is on the website, yes, under the Development Programs tab.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Clerk will proceed with second readings.
Authorizing the law director to approve and settle a claim with Suzanne Benz for expenses incurred as a result of damage that occurred on her property located at 3586 Kingsgate Court on or about January 31, 2021, and authorizing the director of finance to make payment to Suzanne Benz in the amount of $1,400 as full and final settlement for said damages.
Move to adopt.
Second, Estrop.
It's been moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Estrop,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the city manager to enter into a cropland lease agreement 2021 to 2025 with Raven Farms LLC to lease 5 acres at 5721 Plattsburgh Road, of which 4.8 acres are tillable farmland.
Move to adopt. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Clerk will call the roll.
Dr. Estrop,
Yes.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the city manager to enter into amendment number 1 to the consulting agreement with Urban Fast Forward Limited for the Springfield Engaged Neighborhood Planning Process Development Phase 2 to extend the completion date to October 15, 2021.
Move to adopt.
Second,
Second.
Estrop.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Estrop,
Yes.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
confirming and approving a development incentive agreement, single-family residential development with Christopher and Lisa Saunders to provide for water services to real property outside the city limits.
Move to adopt.
Second, Estrop.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Dr. Estrop,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the city manager to apply for, accept, and enter into a cooperative agreement to finance the 2021 water line replacement Mount Joy project with the Ohio Water Development Authority and declaring an emergency therein.
So moved, Estrop.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Dr. Estrop,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the city manager to enter into an amendment number 2 to the engineering agreement with Carpenter Marty Transportation Incorporated for the 2022 miscellaneous sewer improvements project to increase the agreement in the amount of $53,858.09. Total agreement amount not to exceed $96,110.64 and declaring it an emergency therein.
So
Move to
moved.
adopt. Second.
Second. Sorry.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments?
Yes. I thought we had approved for the design and engineering earlier for this. So can somebody explain exactly what this is?
So we had added the design of the sewer repairs for East Maine. But Chris can talk more about what this particular amendment is.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner, this adds sanitary sewer work on Rogers Drive, on Stanton Avenue and on Catherine Street. It will help replace the 6 and 8 inch sanitary lines underneath those roadways.
So this is an addition,
Yes, this is an
right?
addition. So when this project goes out, it will have some, I'm sorry, my video needs to start now. There we go. It'll have some CSO work in Cliff Park. It will have some work on East Main Street down around the Rico Sporting Goods and Shamrock, and then work on Rogers Drive, Stanton, and Catherine Street.
Thank you, Chris.
Anybody else? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Estra,
Yes,
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the city manager to apply for and accept funds from the state of Ohio Department of Transportation in the amount of $83,508 from the Rides to Community Immunity Grant Program, authorizing the city manager, law director, and director of finance to perform all acts and execute all documents considered necessary to fulfill the city's obligations under said grant, to comply with all relevant local, state, and federal legal requirements, and to provide assurances and additional information as required by the Ohio Department of Transportation and declaring an emergency therein.
so moved, Estra.
Second, Neil.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Estrop.
I was wondering if we get this grant, what will this provide? Obviously funding, but specifically for what?
So these funds can be used for COVID testing or transportation to COVID vaccination sites. So the city is actually already offering free transportation, dial-a-ride services to those that are hoping to go get vaccinated. So we will work with EMA and the health department to think about a program to use these funds for.
If somebody needs a ride to get to any of the vaccination sites, what number should they call?
They can call SCAT at 328-SCAT, and that's 328-7228.
Thank you very much.
Logan,
Anyone
is the
else?
health department offering this service also to people who need rides to get their vaccinations?
The health department, yes.
Okay.
So how will our citizens know unless they call the dial-a-ride? Are we putting this information out anywhere?
So that we put out a press release, but we'll really start pushing this on our Facebook. And I know both the health department and Rocking Horse have been releasing flyers as well.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Estra,
Yes,
Mr. Copeland,
Yes. That concludes our agenda. Are there other items from commissioners? Mr. Estrop.
yes, I have an important announcement from city staff. Asked me to put this on the record and to announce it to the people of Springfield. The city of Springfield, in coordination with the Greater Ohio Policy Center, is in the process of facilitating and creating a multi-year strategic plan for housing. To ensure this plan is actionable and meets the needs of all residents in Springfield, the project has a community-wide survey component. Please note this survey is open to all residents of the city. The strategic plan will provide the city with a roadmap to address the housing needs in Springfield for years to come. Participation in this survey will ensure we meet the needs of our residents and we hear from as many residents as wish to participate. As you can see on the screen, this survey can be accessed by thisisourfield.com under the citywide survey tab. Again, that's thisisourfield.com under the citywide survey tab. And community development staff, city staff, can make a printed version of the survey available to people upon request by calling that number at the bottom of the screen, 937-324-7380. And please know the survey will close on April 30th, 2021. So please give us a call. We'll be happy to send you a printed one, or go online if you're able and participate in the survey. We need information from the good people of Springfield about housing. So please participate. Thank you.
Anything else?
Yes.
Yeah,
Did you want to go ahead, Rob? Okay, I had a couple of things. Our health department is showing that Clark County has a high rate of the COVID testing. So I would like to encourage our citizens to please mask up. A friend of mine was telling me that a clerk at one of our local stores was cursed out when the clerk said something to a person without a mask. So we still need to mask up. And the second thing was to ask Mark Bechtel about the tax deadline.
Well, that was a perfect segue, Commissioner. So yes, we have gone along with the federal government and the state government and extended our tax deadline for filing your individual income tax until May 17th. That's a Monday. That is an extension to be able to file your tax return and pay if you in fact owe any taxes. This applies to individuals only. Business returns for those folks filing calendar year returns are still due by April 15th. In addition, if you're required to pay an estimate, that first estimated payment is still due by April 15th. So this is strictly for individuals to file and pay their city income tax.
Thank you.
Mr. Rue.
yeah, thank you. I want to thank Commissioner Chilton for sending me some information that I was receiving from our association. I want to speak to something that's some funds that are being released from the FEMA to help people who have had loss, obviously lost by death with COVID up until January 2020 to 21. And I'm learning right now, I'm going to be on a call tomorrow to learn how the people can access these funds to actually be reimbursed for funeral expenses. And so I'm going to try to put that information out through my business and try to get that on Facebook. So I believe that the amount of money is not forever. So I think when it's gone, but I need to learn more about that. But at least I want to say that publicly. Joyce brought that to my attention as well. So I want to make sure that the citizens know that there's federal funds available for those who've had loss from COVID. So I will find out more about that and also go to my personal page to actually access more information and maybe even do an interview with our State Funeral Directors Association to get that information out. And then secondly, Dave, is there something on that?
No. Go ahead, Rob.
Lastly, I just want to thank Mark and Chris. We all get these emails or phone calls from citizens who have concerns. Some of the citizens are very knowledgeable about concerns about taxes or potholes or how funds are spent. Some need educated. And so I just like the fact that I can always email any one of our staff members and they respond very quickly in much detail. And it just makes the city look good that we are on top of the smallest and greatest concerns. So I want to thank you, Mark, for doing that, answering some difficult finance taxing questions, and also Chris answering the ongoing, when are we going to pave certain neighborhoods question. And thanks for giving the detail and the whys to that. Thank you.
Mr. Estrada.
Thank you. I was, my usual questions, how are we doing in terms of personnel with COVID? And then secondly, how are we doing at the Kroger location? And thirdly, then for Mark, how are we doing financially?
So I can start off with the services update. So from our last meeting 2 weeks ago, I'm very happy to report that we've had very low impact on employees when it comes to COVID. Obviously, the state opened up vaccines to everyone 16 and up on yesterday. So we are encouraging our staff and the community at large to go and get vaccinated. We did open up the first floor to the public on March 15th, utility billing and income tax. And on April 5th, we will be opening the entire building. So that'll be Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Obviously, there'll be social distancing measures in place. Masks will be required. Kudos to the service department for preparing our building to open back up to the public. You'll see sanitizer dispenser areas throughout the building. So be on the lookout for that. And we're really excited to get back to some sense of normalcy, whatever that is. Another update would be our next meeting. So April 13th, we will return to the forum and push our meetings back to 7 o'clock. There will still be a virtual option available for those that would still like to tune in from home. Transitioning to the former Kroger site. So I'm very excited to announce that a grocery interest has emerged. We hope to be under contract with them late April, early May. So this would be a full service grocery store, bakery, deli. So we're very excited about that and to be evaluating that option. Obviously, there's still a lot of movement with the ODOT project. We were awarded over $4 million in safety funds. So we will.
Oh, hold up, Logan.
Oh,
Would
I'm
you
not moving too quick.
repeat the first thing you said? This is wonderful news.
Absolutely.
Could you repeat it, please?
A grocery interest has emerged and we hope to be under contract in late April, early May.
That's wonderful.
Some
Nice
of us-
practice.
Over that, I apologize.
That's
Some of
marvelous.
us took- Go ahead, David, I'm sorry.
What-
Some of us took a trip to a similar store and we were very impressed. I think the people of Springfield and especially people on the south side will be very well served. So we're really excited about it. So, but we gotta wait till we got it totally nailed down, but it looks good.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And then just to wrap that up, we have engaged with Urban Fast Forward to connect the engaged neighborhood plan back to the Four Corners development. So we're very excited about that as well. And there'll probably be more opportunities for the community for some further input. So I will turn it over to Mark for the finance report.
Thank you, Logan.
At this point, the finance report is short and sweet. We're coming up on the end of the first quarter. Don't have those numbers just yet, but based on where our cash balances stand, we are kind of same o, which is a good place to be.
You bet. Excellent. Thank you, Mark.
I must say personally, I was somewhat concerned to see in the newspaper a suggestion that we were gonna get a whole lot of money from the federal government. We don't know that that's actually the case. And I think we have to assume that it will come with specifications about how it can be spent. So it will not be money we can spend any way we want to. And therefore, we still need to continue to have our income tax available to us as our primary source of money. We yet do not know exactly how much we may get, and we don't know what they will tell us we need to spend it on. Thought the newspaper was actually jumping the gun a bit.
Correct. We have not received any guidance at this point, either on the amount or how we, like you said, how we'll be able to spend it and what restrictions apply to that. So yes, our income tax continues to be extremely important to us.
Warren, I have one
Mr.
comment
O'Neill?
that goes hand in glove with what Dave was talking about with regards to housing. My old former neighborhood down on Castley that Rob Brewery calls it a, what'd you call that? It was a good comment. A legacy neighborhood.
Legacy neighborhood. Yeah, that's your word.
Where the former McGuffey School was, that has been in several hands over the last few years, has a real developer. And anybody who wants to drive by down there and take a look of what can happen when someone is serious about doing something, he's got a house up already on the corner of Winton Place and East Northern Avenue. The house is going to sell high hundreds, probably 189 to 220. And it's a project that an individual is doing. It's a great project. I think they can do, it looked like the last time I looked at the plat plan, could do up to maybe 18 to 20 homes. This is a real shot in the arm for that neighborhood. I mean, if you just drive around there, I think Chris just talked about doing something on Rogers Drive. It may be have something to do with this neighborhood because of the infrastructure underneath Rogers Drive there between McCrite and Northern. But again, I am so happy to be able to say that somebody is putting major money. If you just drive by there, I invite all the commissioners to drive by and take a look at that location. It is going to be major for that area. So just wanted to give the guy, his name is Clay Chester, and he's an individual that he's just investing his money in the city of Springfield. And we ought to be very grateful for that.
Kevin, I really appreciate you talking about that because I agree with you. It's fantastic. Claire and I went out for dinner and she said, while we're out, I need to show you something. And so we drove by there to see it. And I agree with you. It's really going to be a major addition to that community. We've been sitting on that property for a long, long time, and it's good to see it being used. And it looks like it's going to be great.
It is, and it's under roof now. You can really see what's going to be there. It would fit in any neighborhood, in my opinion, pretty much in any place in the city of Springfield. This is really not a low cost deal. This is a nice home. So.
Yep. Anyone else?
People really appreciate once McCrite's done and that entire neighborhood gets the infrastructure and the paving. It's really going to be nice over there. Legacy neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Mayor Copeland, I have one citizen letter.
Okay.
I received an email from Mr. Jerome Ray of 329 West Clark Street, who asked me to read his email. And I did forward a copy of this to the commissioners earlier today. May I introduce myself? My name is Jerome Ray, NPH, MS, RN, CNS, and I'm a registered nurse with the Dayton VA. I have been a resident of Springfield since 1992. I'm also a 30-year veteran, retired from the U.S. Air Force Reserve Nurse Corps. While serving as a weekend warrior, I worked as a school nurse in the Springfield City School District for 10 years. As you know, Kroger's on South Limestone was the last source of nutritious food for the community of 49,389 residents, including myself, that live within a 3-mile radius of 529 West Johnny Lytle Avenue, the home of Covenant United Methodist Church, where I attend church services and through which I serve my community. The demands for wholesome food in the subject area is causing a burden on the public health problem of type 2 diabetes self-management. Poorly controlled diabetes is a leading cause of cardiovascular disease and death, amputation of limbs, and diabetes-related depression. Diabetes distress refers to the hidden emotional burden, stresses, and worries that are part of managing the demanding progressive chronic disease. Food insecurity due to lack of access to adequate food has been associated with poor diabetes control. I am asking the city commissioners to consider the following action plan that could make fresh fruits and vegetables affordable, available, and accessible in the target area and provide economic opportunity for small local farmers and gardeners that result in sales tax revenue for the city. There are several non-productive parcels of land in the targeted area that could be transformed to a location conducive to a farmer's market for area's small farmers and community gardeners. Please consider a non-productive parcel to be used as a farmer's market and also to waive or at least reduce the permit fees for sellers. I believe this will enhance the community pride and resident involvement and foster a greater appreciation from the residents for the City Commission. People with food-related health treatment plans can have fresh fruits and vegetables within walking distance or accessible from the bike trail, with secondary physical activity benefits for those who walk or bike to the market. Local farmers will have another avenue to sell produce and increase revenues. I hope the Commission can see the benefits to addressing the issue of food insecurity to provide a positive impact on the associated diabetes self-management burden, improvement to the community aesthetics, and boost local economics with transforming a non-productive parcel to an active and vibrant farmers market. Thank you for your time and attention.
Good letter.
Mr. Estrop.
If you would, Mrs. Pierce, if you can communicate with that gentleman, there's a very active gardening association on West Jefferson, and they've been rapidly expanding that effort and doing just exactly what he is proposing. And likewise, the Springfield Promise neighborhood is also engaging in gardening work on the east side. So I would encourage him to contact both or either of those organizations to get involved in it. What he outlined is exactly what they're trying to do, not only raise food for their own consumption, but enter the marketplace with any surplus food that they may have. So if you could pass that along to him, that might be useful. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. I was thinking about the same thing. I think there are options out already now. The last year's been crazy because of the virus, but I think hopefully if we turn that corner, we'll have people out there doing that, and it would be good from my point of view to work with them rather than set up another one, because I think those two need support. So.
If I could also add, the staff has made it much easier, and I really appreciate it, for people to establish community gardens. We used to have incredible amount of red tape that we had to jump through, go around or whatever, and the staff has really done a nice job of cutting through that and making it easier for people. So I think if there are issues around that, folks in our community development department could be of great assistance to them.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anyone want to adjourn the meeting? Oh, I have something else to say. The newspaper story that talked about all the money was coming, I think is something we need to address every time we get a chance, because we have no idea how we will have to spend that money, but I can't imagine it won't come without strings attached. Okay, anybody else? Mr. Estrop? You're muted for some reason.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Second? Rob Bruce seconds. Clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Chilton,
Yes.
Dr. Estrop,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland.
Yes.